Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the reigning world champion, the Terran of the Red from Team Liquid. It's Clem, facing off against Cyril's best stunt double, the Rocky Zerg. We have Solar, a best of 3 Terran versus Zerg showdown. Again, between Clem's unbeatable speed and Solar's tenacity. Definitely a series featuring good games for the fans. Just like I'd feature the ability to smash that like button. And maybe even subscribe. And Jimmy, what are we? No, we can't say cringe anymore. 1,574 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways. Don't know what else I'd do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. Clem, already heading across the map with the first Reaper on Whispers of Gold with the SCV. Skirting by the third base, making sure no unsavory attempts to let a Zerg actually expand will go down. So now the Zerglings will try to gnaw at the surprisingly high up ankles of the Reaper while it pokes and prods at the drones. And the Queen will finally come to disagree with the notion of the Reaper existing. But the Reaper already took out one of the drones. 2 command centers on the way behind as Clem off to a strong start. That first drone dying might not be a He wants it. That creep tumor, he wants it so badly. And the Queens know he wants it. And the story continues. But Clem already a third of the way done with his 3rd command center, while Solar and this is just cyberbullying. Gonna come back down, but manages to get the block. And again, Clem, the most infuriating Reaper player in the world, is able to delay the 3rd base by another 30-40 seconds or so. That's more lava as time goes on. The Queens. Don't you say it. Don't say a word, Susan. Wouldn't dream of it, Brenda. I said not a word. Reaper gets away. Creep spread does begin. Solar, no stranger to getting pushed around by the Terrans. I've never seen a player, including Cyril, take so many hits and still come back and make a game of it. Not always victory. I'd put him up there with Showtime as one of the players who, no matter what end of the battle he's on, he ends up being in some of the most dramatic games out there. But playing a lot more lately, Solar, it's going to be an uphill battle, and possibly both ways, depending on where Clem decides to drop. But at least Solar was able to establish the 3rd base that's a little further out. It makes it harder to abuse those medevacs and banshees early on. And speaking of, the cloaking device on the way for the banshees as we look through the fancy icon indicators throughout the map. More barracks. I thought for a moment, I dreamed he was taking us to McDonald's, but no. Triple racks will be the choice. And it's going to be Marines, maybe eventually Marauders, medevacs, mines, tanks, the M&M build. That's been a staple of Terran for time immemorial. At least 2/3 of Clem's actual life, so. Cloak still 20 seconds out with the Banshee, unlike the Queen's, able to fly. Sneaks in, pops a drone. And the Hellions, another contingent, gonna drive them back. Solar, no obvious weaknesses here. He's played this game once or twice before. The mini game of defending against the Hellions and the Banshees simultaneously. If you succeed, you prevent any damage. If you fail, you lose the game. It's a tough one for the Queens, but it's a game that has to be played. Meanwhile, 3rd command center landing for Clem. He already has 44 SCVs, but Solar has not been stingy on the drone count. 56 and counting. 4 more gases now on the way as he gets the 3-base saturation. Tucks those evolution chambers in the back corner. By the 3rd base as the creep continues to spread. Overseer's on the way, but the Banshees will skirt by the Queens at the start. And the Hellions may have an angle as he pushes the drones over to the left side. The Hellions will light them up. 5, 6, 7 drones so far. Zerglings coming up, trying to get a good angle, but the Queen's coming around the back. The Banshees are in the natural, but the Zerglings get the surround. Banshee's not finding a lot of damage. And I think so far Solar has mostly diffused the situation. Get off my... I don't. 9 Drones, dead. Wait, what? Oh, it was attacking the one that wasn't cloaked. All right, it was a bit of an odd one. 9 drones, but Solar plummets to a 13 worker lead. A scan into the main spots. We'll pretend he was scouting, but spotting to make sure the Banshees can't escape that way. And Solar is already rushing up into an infestation, but he's got road speed on the way. He's looking for this strong ground army to be able to pummel any small amount of Marines and medevacs that Clem comes out with. And then likely rushing up to Hive. And because he was able to dispatch the Hellions so quickly and essentially make the Banshees obsolete, I think he has an opportunity to do so, but he doesn't have a Baneling Nest done yet. Oh, down goes one Banshee, snipes it off. The second one getting dangerously close as well. The Queen, literally 1 HP. But the Roaches and the Queen's in the center of the map, going to be able to drive the medevacs back. And now the Hive begins. 7-minute Hive. That is not the quickest, but pretty close to it. And Clem, does he even have... Okay, he has 1-1 done. I'm like, does he even have upgrades? Of course he does. 1-1's already completed. Armory is going to be finishing up, so we're not too far behind. Possibly anticipating a Roach Hammer attack, where you max out like Stefano, his French counterpart, 10 years ago, at 200 supply and just slam them with the Roaches. In fact, it's more effective nowadays if you hit the timing, because Roaches with Ravagers make siege tanks, makes their lives hard or non-existent. But with the Hive on the way, I think Solar has successfully skirted by this early aggression out of Clem and will make it to Hive before Clem has a real dangerous army moving out. Clem, looking to prove me wrong, sends out a double drop, loads up in the medevacs towards the main, will drop it out, but already some Spore Crawlers to zone, as well as another Queen to deal with it. But a second drop over to the left side. Third base. How many units there? Absolutely none. Not even a Queen stimming in. And Solar not really responding to this right now. The Marine's starting to find some damage. 6 drones dead thus far. Gunning down the Roaches one by one. Finds some more Queens. Snipes off the Spore. Already pre-boosts the medevac. 7 drones down. 3 Vipers on the way for Solar. Double drop comes back in the north side. 4th base under fire. And the alternative over to the south. But Clem forced to load up yet again. Meanwhile, the secondary drop to the north, starting to fight the Roaches. Definitely not the ideal move. Gets back into the main. Spore Crawler repositions. Starting to creep spread out to the top, but more drones being picked off around the sides. Ultraless Cavern has joined production, and 3 Vipers are on the way. But the drops come back in, dropping more bases than a Skrillex album right now as Clem continues to kite his way back. He hasn't spent enough time outside the medevacs to actually get healed up. But right now, as he hammers the base, Solar can't touch this. I mean, Clem is now 20 supply ahead. Similar worker count. 4th base up 2-2 finishing. But Adrenal Glands on the way. And an Ultraless Cavern. The Hive tech for Zerg is almost online. And Clem has not even an inkling of a Ghost Academy. That means he has to get the damage done sooner rather than later. Though he might not quite know it yet. The Banshee came in, though, and spotted the Hive done, though I'm sure Clem could have anticipated. Clem is maxed out. He's closing in on 2-2, even with Ultras on the field with chitinous plating, which he doesn't have yet. This would be a difficult army to engage. Counterattack into the third. Not many reinforcements because Clem was maxed out. Where are the Vipers? They're going to be required to break this. Adrenal Glands is only halfway done. 2-2, 20 seconds out. But this counterattack hitting such an awkward timing, killing off 7+ SCVs. The Ravagers, Lings, and Banes trying to come in, but Solar rolling with the punches so far and striking back with a few jabs of Zerglings. Down goes 1 base, and Solar now forced to turn his 5th base into an alternative 4th. But the counterattack kept Clem from being able to get the critical damage done. He kills the base, but Solar stops the bleeding, and now he's going to have a fully operational Hive tech army. He gave up a hand so he could curl the other one into a fist. And here come Adrenal Glands and Chitinous Plating not done, but the Vipers are here. They're in position. Now's the time to go. Blinding Cloud on the back line. Stevie Wonder tanks can't see anything, and they're not able to deal with the Ultras. The armor's completed, and before the tanks come out of the cloud, he's able to retreat with the majority of them. The Queen then stands down so I can transfuse. I don't... Brenda, calm down. Ultras Coming back around, one of them gets obliterated, but the siege tank's still in the low ground. Vipers regathering energy. Zergling counterattack into the third. Siege tank on the high ground, gonna take a few bites. And those SCVs may take a bit of friendly fire. He actually unsieged the tank to prevent it. But Solar, continuing his efforts. He's lost a bit more resources, but he still has the tech advantage, especially considering Clem does not have a Ghost Academy yet. Quite an, I would say, oversight, but he picks up after sniping often. Solar's actually back down to 3 bases of mine. The drop of the back, parasitic bomb, quarantines 1 medevac, and then smoothly done by Clem. I think he still has enough HP. I thought wrong. Everyone dies in that medevac. Spire is on the way. Something we don't usually see added until arguably too late for Zerg, but Solar anticipating this sort of scenario. Already Liberators in production, so Solar lining up another few dozen creep tumors as both players are established on 4 bases yet again. Thing is, though, Clem still has that late-game Terran army. He's working towards the Ghost Academy. The Vipers, scouting Vipers are not the... Oh, my. Ooh, he figures it out just in time, but the scouting Vipers could have, turn things very quickly there if they didn't realize where they were. And Ultra just chewing through a drop of Marines. Technically less supply, so relatively efficient. Ultra 6 supply, a drop of Marines is 10 if you include the medevac. Which, why wouldn't you? 4 more command centers on the way. 5 more command centers. He's got more command centers in production than he's currently mining from. But looking towards the future, he's maxed out. They're both a wall-off and an economic boon. I'm sure a couple of them will end up as alternative planetaries. And then, of course, having more orbital commands makes things easier across the board. 6 command centers on the way. Yes, I can read the production tab. That's why I'm here. Like and subscribe for more audiobooks by me. It was a dark and stormy night. Actually, both those things not true. Clem and Solar and no Protoss, but a fusion core is on the way. Alongside high-sec auto-tracking and building armor, as Clem goes to the final late-game tech that he hasn't yet acquired, but yanks out one of the Liberators. Ultra's leading the charge. A couple ghosts. Blinding Cloud. Ultra's trying to get through this choke point, but the Ghosts will line up their shots. He'll snipe off a couple. Liberators able to pick off a couple of the Ultras on the way out. 2 go down. Forced to lift the command center. But Clem, with a vengeance, is chasing the army across the map. Snipes off a couple more Ravagers. Corrosive Bow clips the Marines. But Clem still feels like he has the army to chase this down. And with the Ghosts lining up the snipes and the Bio cutting down the Ultras, he picks off the Baneling as well. Clem having a tough time outright breaking the army. But at the same time, Solar, he's running out of options to deal with the more advanced Terran. He does not have a greater Spire on the way. He's adding in a few more Ultralisks. Now, the Ultra, unfortunately not tall enough to headbutt the Liberator out of the game. Ghosts don't quite line it up. Still, 2 Vipers, 1 full energy, and a bunch of Corruptors added to sweep the air out of the sky. Very well could work out. No Parasitic Bombs. We'll see what... Oh, Parasitic Bomb on one of the Liberators. Medevac's boosted away. And the Ultras are just chewing through on the ground. There's not much else for... Well, he only has a couple Ghosts on the back line. There's too much meat. And still far too many potatoes right now for Solar. He's forcing Clem back to his third. The siege tanks on the high ground will be enough, and he turns it around. Obliterates another Ultralisk. But Solar made a lot of progress. And very importantly, he helped wipe out the starport units. The Liberators, the Medevacs, these are not easily replaced. And now he's trying to melt through the planetary fortress with Caustic Spray. He's going to take it down. And that will limit Clem's mining yet again. More Zerglings just trickling into the fray. A stream of them across the map becoming a river. And the Corruptor popped out of the sky. But Clem losing the war of attrition right now. Solar's actually lost a few hundred less gas, a few thousand more minerals, but he's mined 5,000 more minerals and a similar amount of gas. He's currently mining from half the map, whereas Clem is struggling to get a 5th base. And if Solar hits it one more time, then maybe Clem, that'll be the massive war beast that breaks the Clem's back. Blinding cloud forces the bio. The Corruptors sweeping things out of the sky. A few drones going down, I believe a Liberator, but the Ultras are chewing through the survivors. The Ghosts trying to light up some shots, but just cleaving the SCVs to pieces. To shreds, I say. And just a few Ghosts and tanks left behind. The Ultras struggling to kind of jam their way through. But quantity is a quality all its own. The Corruptors take out a command center. 5 Ultras still smashing their way through. And Solar claims GG in game number 1. Quite a decisive victory. Clem unable to get anything going. Ultras making it work, but you know what we almost never see? The Corruptors. Solar took the opportunity before the Liberators were on the field, before the Ghost count got to Ghostbusters proportions. And he got the Corruptors to sweep away those force multipliers. Now, if you go Corruptors too early, they're a liability. If you go Corruptors too late, they're useless. But Solar, just right. A dozen Corruptors, and he killed a base with them as well, so very well played in game 1. Not making it look easy, but certainly making it look solid. And, well, Solar, continually a top 10 player, beating the world champion, the player who clean swept Cyril to claim that title. That's certainly quite an accomplishment. And now, mixing in some of the new Team Liquid map contest maps. This actually isn't from the map contest, but from TKL's Monday Night Weeklies, held by the French organization. So it should be Clem's home field advantage, but if you'd like to vote, by the way, if you're watching this diligently within a day or two, you can vote in the Team Liquid map contest and maybe help decide some of the maps you'd like to see on the ladder and maybe in tournaments. Though I think for better or worse, and definitely for better, tournaments starting to kind of apply their own map pools, since the intern does seem to be a bit distracted over at Blizzard. So either way, though, this map, our sandiest of them all. Now, a lot of people dislike sand. They may even go so far as to hate it. But I find those people coarse and irritating, despite the fact they seem to be everywhere. So we will see. Solar, gonna be happy with that one. A straight up macro game. I think the way he handled the Hellions really opened up a lot of opportunities. So much of the time Clem is able to he pulls the drone back. He knew the Reaper was coming across, so Solar sent out a drone to maybe take a third. Clem is looking for it. He saw the drone go out. I don't know why Solar pulled back. Maybe he really doesn't want this base. It's kind of a weird spot. So the minerals right underneath, but he wanted to go for this side third. But we saw some mind games where, no, he can't. No, he used the grenade. Not even Clem's gonna. Next patch, Reaper Cloak. Oh, don't worry, it only lasts 10 seconds. It was frustrating for Terrans to be attacked by any unit, so in line with the rest of Terran design, we made another unit that is almost impossible to counter in the early game. Brenda, stop writing patch notes. That's for Terrans. That's what I'm saying, Susan. You're gonna get people all upset again. I don't count Terrans as people. You're gonna get us demonetized. Okay, well, that's a legitimate concern. I don't... Sorry. I am... blacked out for... Starport on the way. Hellions. No third command center from Clem. Very notably as he goes through the sand spires in the center. Quite a choke point. Pops a creep tumor. Queen over to the side. And the oncologist removes it. Cloak Banshee on the way. There's a set of rocks blocking the money of this gold base, but which is an interesting development. This keeps players from taking the gold base. I think this would be worth lifting your command center to potential. It's too far. It's too far nowadays, but pretty much prevents doing like a first hatch at the gold base, but does give you an option for a very lucrative base later on. So we'll see if either player ends up heading towards it. 4 Hellions and a Reaper is the extent of it. Does he have any back at home? 2 more coming out, I think, flipping over and adding on the production now. Clem already has that SCV on station to do so the moment he drags in those minerals. Meanwhile, 6 Hellions and a Reaper. Banshee looking for an opportunity. Queen zone out yet again. Lair is on the way. Solar so far doing a great job of dealing with the early Hellion harass. Banshee takes out another couple drones. And Solar doesn't have a huge lead in the worker count. He's adding on more. Very notably again is the third command center delay from Clem. Not going for the super early third, but instead he's going to have this early medevac push another 20-30 seconds quicker. And that can make all the difference. He blocked his base with a creep tumor, and now Clem's gonna help him out with the rest, but he doesn't have anything in the Queen. What a save at the last moment. Is there enough energy? Another pat on the back, but wait, there's more. And with the Overseer coming out, Solar holds it all together. Once again, the Rocky Zerg takes the punches and somehow survives. But the Queen's moving into position. The Hellions will find a line on the drones. There's no Zerglings here. He's actually going to back up. I think Clem making a conscious decision. He lost another Banshee. A conscious decision from last game. Even if he gets in and kills 10 drones, but if he loses the Hellions, there's no controlling the creep. That made 10 drones killed now means an easier 20 drones later. Because he no longer has any ability to really pressure until the medevacs come out. And this time around, I think Clem's going to combine with the medevacs, with the Hellions, and have a much stronger mid-game push, as opposed to trying to nickel and dime Solar with those early drones. Double tank. He's repairing the Hellions. Gonna send him back out into the fray. The Banshee came back and got repaired as well. So Clem bringing it all together. This is about as strong as it gets at this stage of the game. Baneling speed is still far out. 1-1, even further. So this is a moment where Clem can certainly at least pressure the 4th base. There's 2 4th bases on the way, but they're both in a precarious spot compared to the tanks. Combat shield isn't done. No upgrades for either side. Just Zergling speed, stim, and, well, that's the extent of it. But the hatchery will go down. May rotate around. Does he know about the gold? He does not yet, but he's not too far away from it. And, well, he had his suspicions, it seems. The tanks. Clem sees no reason to stop here. He's got the sand spires potentially to work with. And the siege tanks will be loaded up in behind him. Jams them into a nice little tank corner there. Almost feels designed for it. But oh my. Hive is on the way for Solar. If he can survive this, and he's got a gold base, huge counterattack of Zerglings. There's a Banshee back at home to defend. There are some reinforcements. They should be enough accidental pickup, I think, on that. Meanwhile, gonna move forward, try to deal with this siege tank coming up. Marines on the high ground. A bit of a miss-micro out of Clem. But fighting on the field, the sand spires. Oh, he doesn't actually have vision. He knows the tank is there, but actually coming around the corner is almost impossible. Clem will lose some of his SCVs. 15 in total. Solar still has 69 drones to 55 SCVs, which is a nice advantage, especially with the gold base. But here come the Hellbats. That siege tank still untouchable. 23, 27 kills. Another round. Ling Bane coming around the corner. The base under fire. Solar trying to re-expand to an alternative fourth, realizing that this one's probably not going to make it, but Clem has taken a supply lead. And a few lifts the orbital, though does not lower. This is a bit awkward. And by a bit, I mean incredibly significant. Ends up losing. Wow. That is a lot of workers dead, but Clem still, his standing army is massive. The tanks, Solar just running down, trying to deal with the tanks, but the Marine count is so high. The medevacs are effectively out of energy, but Solar's almost out of army. More Banelings on the way. He's going to target the fourth base. It's dropping so fast. Couple Banes. Goodbye. The Marines easily able to deal with them. Another round of Banelings about to complete. Stutter stepping. He's going to be forced to pick up at that last moment. Gets into the main, drops out again. The medevacs just completely drained, which is why Solar has a chance to deal with this. But another group of Marines comes in. Pincer from both sides. And with the siege tanks behind the Marines, we'll need a few of the Baneling hits. There are Vipers on the way. One Viper. But the Widowmine unburrows to not hit an Overlord. Some drones coming in from an awkward angle. But Clem just hammering right now. And the Widowmines find a lot of damage from the back line. The siege tank's doing plenty as well. And Vipers won't save you. Clem ties things up. He strikes back, taking advantage of the map to its fullest extent. And now, we've got an ace match. Finding those tank positions, and Clem making the adjustment. Solar rushing out Hive. He wants the economy. He wants 70 drones. He wants his cake, and he wants to eat it too. But Clem, in going for the extra production before the third command center, allows him to hit that timing. If he had gone for the third command center, Baneling speed would have been done for the first push. And that's a huge difference. Even for Clem, with almost aimbot level target fire, that is night and day. So, we'll see if Solar makes any adjustments as we go into Arrowhole. This is actually from a few Team Liquid map contests ago, but has kind of become accepted as one of our new community tournament maps. Several community tournaments using it now. Also has a kind of valley of death, the canyon of death in the center, between a set of rocks. A little different than the sand spires. But the little detail, those are the things that I try to make an extra effort when Clem's playing. Because he makes little... it's so easy to look and be like, he's got Marines and tanks and he's just winning. All right. But the adjustments to take these little advantages. And with Terran, it's almost identical in the production tab. You have... it's the same destination. The journey is just slightly different. I guess you could say that for Zerg as well, but Zerg being on the receiving end of the aggression feels a little different. But clearly focused on that tank push and taking full advantage. All right, Solar. Still though, we'll see if Solar plays the next game instead of the last one. He pretty much copy-pasted his build from game 1 to game 2. Clem did not. That was the difference. At least change the homework a little. Going for that third base, sending out 2 drones, doubling back, and I think he actually succeeded. Bamboozled the SCV, and will get the third hatchery. Though, the Reaver will come in. Gonna get plenty of time to work on the Zerglings. But just making the workplace life difficult in general. There is a ramp up to the high ground, so creep tumor, relatively safe, especially. I've always, one of my many, many pet peeves, of which we could do a whole podcast series, but is taking critical damage on the Reaper right before the creep tumor comes out. Knowing they want to lay down a creep tumor. If that queen does not immediately go to inject the hatchery, they want a creep tumor. You know that. That's a science fact. But having the Reaper at less than half HP means you can't really contest it. Now, is it a huge deal? Kind of, actually. When the creep tumor gets taken out, that is an order of magnitude less creep spread. Because that first one, and it just, creep spreads. It metastasizes across the map. The less you shut down early, the harder it is to deal with later. That's the whole Zerg thing. One of my favorite mechanics in the game. I think it's very unique. Now, well, that was just disrespect. Hello, sir. This is private property. Well, Solar went for a little bit later Zergling speed, and Clem trying to take full advantage of that. He does not succeed. That was just a total failure there. And now Zergling speed is done. He's going to go towards the third, but thinks better of it as the queens move down to defend. And now Hellion's still looking for an opportunity. They're not going to find it. Solar's been very diligent about zoning out this early aggression throughout the series. It's not flashy, but it's very visible when you don't do it. Cloak Banshee on the way, 3 for 3. Gonna poke away at the Hellions. Banshee, 15 seconds on Cloak. And lair begins. But the Spore Crawler lined up near perfectly. Gets one drone. Clem, third command center again. A little bit on the later side. Oh. There was no Spore at the natural. And the lair's not done. This actually... Oh, what a save! The drone transfused. The rest of the queens zoning out the Hellions. Comes back around, finds an angle. But the Banshee's starting to rack up some real kills here. 6 drones dead. And, well, Solar eating a couple Spore hits to pick off the drones, but so far getting away with it. +1 on the way. And Solar, definitely a less comfortable position than he's had so far, but down goes one Banshee, ran out of energy, gets onto the creep, the transfuse! I was just Karen, don't worry about it. We won't have to deal with her at the Hatchery Owner Association. You keep saying that, but she keeps coming back. Oh, Susan, don't worry about it. Clem laying down his third base, but it appears this time Solar a lot more interested in the mid-game aggression. Not trying to turtle up to Hive, but instead it's going to be mass roaches and Zerglings. He doesn't even... Then he lays down the infestation bit, so I may have spoken a little too... And then he cancels the infestation bit, so I know I was correct. So it was Solar who was wrong. Somehow. Don't question it. I manifested the roach aggression, and here we are. Clem moving out with the double siege tank, but Solar has no interest in techie up this time. He's building up an army. And that means if Clem comes with half of what he needs to deal with this, Solar should be able to just smash it. Already some Zerglings setting up for a counterattack. There was no vision of this at all. So he will be somewhat blindsided, but the Roach Ravager count, the siege tanks on the high ground, transfuses some of the roaches, corrosive bows, one more siege tank over to the left flank. No upgrades on either side yet. It's just the Hellions are behind the Marines, not adding too much damage. Corrosive bow cleanly takes it out, and the medevacs are knocked out of the sky by the queens as well. And suddenly Clem. Look at the supply. Another banshee. Get off my... Great. The queens, real MVPs of this game, but how many siege tanks remain? Just 2. And here comes the Roach Ravager Solar with the Roach Hammer. The Roach 1-1 is done. Attack upgrades. Well, actually, +1 carapace, +1 ranged attack a little further out. Siege tank on the low ground, but the corrosive bow is already firing at it. Gets a couple volleys off, but the Marines are struggling to hold the line. The bunker completes just in time. But Solar still breaking into the buildings. That siege tank on the high ground is the only thing that stands between Clem and oblivion. It's doing so much damage right now, but the corrosive bows are finally gonna land, and the hero tank goes down. But it may have thinned out the roaches just enough for Clem's reinforcements to hold the line. That siege tank, there's only 2 Ravagers left. Another factory, they just need to cut the ribbon on that one. The command center under fire. The factory doesn't look like it's gonna make it. He's repositioning the siege tank. And I don't think Clem can recover from this. Solar just running through him with the roaches, and Clem too deep and too greedy with that initial attack. The third command, and that's it. Clem in typical fashion. When the going gets rough, the Clem gets going. And, well, it was rougher than usual here. Solar defeats Clem 2-1 with a decisive takedown. Well, we'll have to see if in our bonus game of Clem versus Hero, he can redeem himself. I believe from the same tournament. I'm not sure it was before or after, but we're going back to the same. But Solar with a decisive victory. Clem making a few uncharacteristic mistakes, or at least decision-making mistakes, but overall, Solar with a, well, very clean series. Able to shut down any form of early aggression. And here we are, back to Sandworm. Wasn't really expecting this to be a redemption arc for Clem, but here we are. Solar on point. And his only loss coming on... And generally, when new maps, especially new maps that are on the smaller side of things, roll around, Zerg struggle. Attacks come in from weird angles. Siege tanks are jammed into odd corners. Taking bases exposes you to certain forms of attack. Rarely does Zerg have as many tools to take advantage of that as Terran or Protoss. But as time goes on, lore accurately, Zergs adapt. So pretty much every time we have a new set of maps, what happens is early aggression sort of strategies become prevalent, and then players adapt over time, and things start to even out a bit. Oh, the hero gets away with the probe. 1 HP, 0 fucks. As the factory is on the way. Now we gotta kind of adjust for Terran versus Protoss, and it's Hero. The wild card. The madman. The smiling assassin. Hero with just such a different flavor. A different strain of Protoss, if you would. And by that I mean he's gonna go blank. It's less the build order, especially at this point in StarCraft 2. And StarCraft 1, I guess, to an extent. It's less the actual build orders and the units used, but more the way they're used. Alright. Reinventing the tools and the timings, and trying to figure out how to use them against one another. Partially, just the matchup in general, and partially, like Hero versus Clem, is going to be a different meta than Hero versus Beyond, or Clem versus Max Packs, because these players play each other so much. I guarantee you, these Clem and Hero have played each other more than half of the people watching this have played ladder games combined in the last year. So, okay, maybe 3/4. Cyclone on the way. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. If I appealed to just people who are playing all day, well, then we wouldn't have very many viewers. The Cyclone too thick to go through the Sand Spires. But the Marines are able to slip right through. Cyclone just locks on the Adept. Awkwardly kind of just dies, but Hero with 2 Stalkers and warping him more, that's enough to threaten Clem. Force him back for now. But the Cyclone locks on. Gonna dance with the Stalkers. And at the moment, impasse. Hero does not go for the quick third and instead focusing. Wow, Clem actually building a bunker. Quite threatened by the amount of Stalkers that could be coming across the map. Blink completed. Marauders on the way as well. Much more effective against those Blink Stalkers. And Hero. Classic Hero. He sees a gold base, he takes a gold base. Well, not yet. He's working on... Wait. These rocks share an HP pool. Huh. That's crazy. How have I died? I've casted like 3-4 games on this map, and almost everyone has had the gold base. So, they're just like other rocks. It's just they're laid out differently, so that way you can expand. I do like that design. They're laid out to block the mining, but it allows you to expand. You can worry about the mining while the expansion is building. So I actually think that's a cool way to do it. A lot of the times we have, or historically, we haven't had it too much lately, but we've had bases blocked by just a set of rocks. And that favors especially a faction who might be able to build their bases elsewhere. And then just move them over when the time is right. So, one way to handle it. Demon Combat Shield on the way. The Blink Stalker count looking quite healthy here for Hero as he blunks into the bunker. Takes it out. But there's enough bio that I think Hero... unlikely to break through. War Prism barely escapes. With 4 Stalkers inside, he didn't even try dropping him out, so a lot of confidence and or hubris. And, oh, get out of here! Wipes him out of the sky. Down he goes. Clem tried to sneak out. An Observer is spotted, but there's 2. But wait, there's more. I don't think he realizes that second Observer was the one that confirmed the medevac was on its way out in Hero. Knowledge is power. He knows the map is dark and full of Terrans. He does a great job of grinding out that early advantage. And now he's got a gold base to work with and has taken the income lead by a significant margin. No splash damage, but the amount of gateways he can support is growing rapidly. He's building 3 more. Forge is on the way. Needs to progress his tech in some fashion, as the bio ball is so dangerous on its own if you don't do so. What? Anticipating a drop up to the north side. And Hero, what did you see? What did your elf eyes see, Hero? Alright. Just running out to the right side. Kind of predicting a drop there. But the Observer down the center is spotted. He still has the one near Clem's base. The Sand Spire is going to make things awkward. The charge lot's going to struggle to break through here. A bio army in a precarious position as well. If that siege tank goes down, well, force field is a real option. Ooh, he's trying to drag everything back. A bit dicey. Clem coming around the corner. Guardian shield used. And Clem has enough momentum here to potentially break through. He has a 3rd command center back at home. Hero does not have an alternative base. That siege tank's still out of range. The medevac's very stressed out about how many times the Terrans are hitting the stims. But here comes Hero again. Blunks over to the side. Gonna eat the Widow Mine. Hits through the spires. There's so many mines behind this. While he may technically be able to work his way through physically, he's going to take quite a price to do so. 2 medevacs loaded up. The Widow Mine's in place. Double drop heads towards the main. And it's relatively undefended. Hero has to make some very hard decisions right now. He's going to warp in and he's going to recall. But still has enough units at the front to keep him busy. Blinks over to the side. Gonna want to knock down the medevacs if possible. Doesn't target fire. Too busy at the front, I assume. Indeed, 4 probes dead. Which means Clem has actually taken the worker lead as he takes his 3rd base. And the incomes are drawing even. But Colossi are on the way. The first one stepping up to the front. Guardian Shield holding for now. Colossi still battling in the spires. Knocking out another round of charge lots. Those medevacs just so stressed. Almost no energy left. Picks up another drop. The Widowmines, he drops out again, seeing an opportunity. Concussive Shells juggles back the Immortal, but some of the Stalkers get caught around the side. And anticipating a potential drop, and this time, oh, you've made a mistake. He blunks forward, a bit of an awkward one, a bit late on the draw, which means there's enough Marauders to make him pay an iron price for it. Down goes yet another medevac. Widowmine gonna hit both sides. But Hero starting to stabilize despite the supplies. There's no observer nearby, so he either needs to blink out or sacrifice in order to deal with that. But a 4th base has completed for Hero, very importantly. So with that 4th base to potentially fall back to, ooh, the Widowmines, he didn't notice them. He just walked right in. It seems like the entire army took the splash damage. Can the Colossi? No, they have to go through the larger unit side of, and they can't go through the spire. All right, made it there. Knocks out another medevac. A great shift blink away. Worth a Stalker or 2 to take out a medevac or Viking every time. Citizens arrest. The probe finishes off the scouting marine, but the fact that Hero has a 4th base is a very key part of this. He's building 4 more gateways. He is building a 5th nexus in the top left corner. He's starting to bring the supplies a bit closer, though Clem is getting that late game army composition. Ghosts and Vikings. The Bio Ball still looking to roll by. Picks off another Viking. 2 Colossi in position. Extended thermal lance fully ready. Oh, indeed. Another Viking knocked out. Hero doing some great work with the Blink Stalkers right now, and Clem is in a precarious position despite his supply. The medevacs are out of energy. The Viking count isn't that high. There are 3 Colossi to contest right now. And with the Guardian Shield, the Vikings are really struggling to do so. Clem shaved off a bit more. A few more Stalkers going to go down. Disruptor gliding up into the fray. And Hero now has 10 gateways fully operational. Clem is just now building an armory. Disruptor clips a Widowmine. Not exactly the ideal, but better, literally better than nothing. Now Clem bottled up, stuck in his base. The Stalker is going to try to pick off one of the ghosts. Doesn't quite get it. Surprisingly tanky. Hero now has his entire side of the map, including that gold base. Clem still no 4th, though working into the center yet again. Hero finishes +2 weapons, giving him an advantage in the weapons upgrades, 2 to 1. Now retreating that base. Still vulnerable, Clem. There's been no real counterattacks, no backstabs. Hero shut down the drops, but attempted not really any of his own since the early aggression. And the real miracle is that Hero has survived with this warp prism since the very beginning. Well, I just had to say something, didn't I? Down goes the prism, which means no reinforcements. Disruptor shots flowing out, gonna kill some of the ghosts, but the Vikings able to knock down the Colossi. They'll hit the deck. The charge lots are cleaned up, and the Terran army is on the march. Another Disruptor, EMPs, pops the Ruptor. Clem with a 30-40 supply lead. Coming around the corner again, the only saving grace is the level of production, which is one of the best possible ones to have. 10 Ruptors, 2 Robos, Clem is still on just 3 bases. If Hero can hold, he should be able to bring things closer to even. Energy recharge on a sentry. The medevac's still out of energy. A perpetual... Oh, what a save. Does end up losing a ghost, but just slips into the medevac. The Viking's still on the ground here. Oh, the Purification Nova can't go through the sand spires. Of course it can't. Another drop loaded up. Blinks out of the mine. What's in the main? There's nothing ready for defense. He does have just enough energy to recall. And this will be the opportunity to do so. But there's another army coming up to the north side. Massive drop. But the charge lots and the Widow Mines are dealt with. The army from Hero here is too strong. The army in the main base will be ripping through Hero's production. But Clem does not have enough to hold the Protoss, even with the EMPs, even with the Widow Mines, though they certainly helped a lot. The Disruptors have yet to fire a shot. He fires one, settles for the Widow Mine, but wait, there's more. The Disruptors keep gliding up. A recall, a very bold one. Oh no! It was canceled, which means the army in a vulnerable position, possibly grasping defeat from the jaws of victory. But he's managed to warp in enough and has a few Disruptors at home. Hero, a tactical withdrawal. Another Disruptor shot. The Disruptor actually lands. The other one is taken out. He might be able to just take down the pylon here. Target's down. For now, survives. Another medevac gonna get chased. Knocks it out of the sky. And Hero keeps all of his bases, except very notably his main that he tried to recall to alive. But somewhat amusingly, that is the least valuable one. As now that the production is gone and the resources are drying up, he doesn't need to keep that alive nearly as much as his outlying base. Clem, on the other hand, really needs to be mining it all. Disruptor's coming in, but he flings out another shot, and another one knocks out a ghost. Flings out 2 more. The double barrel might be enough. Clips a couple. He's dropping Vikings. But the Zealots and the Natural and Hero. Quantity of quality all its own. Hero's Blink Micro has been incredible throughout the match. The Disruptors have landed, and he's aggressively expanded to the point where Clem has to type GG yet again. And Korea with a great day over the Frenchman today, as Hero holds on, playing his Forrest Gumpian Protoss style, and takes a victory in a hard-fought battle over Clem, much like Solar, 2-1. Well, tough day for Clem, showing he is indeed mortal, but still a well-fought battle. So hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully it made your day just a little bit better. And if you got the means and motivation, it'd be awesome to check out Patreon or YouTube membership. Thank you to our Mule Tier patrons for bringing in the minerals, of course. Big Gigador, K, Mario, Suit, and Thomas. Glad you still enjoy. But I hear liking and subscribing is still free. Yeah, at least for now. So thank you for watching. Make sure autoplay. Over here, right? Something like that. Anyway, autoplay is on the right video. I'll see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill.